Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the important news and editorial that are relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 21st of February. The first important news that is Center may notify emission trading scheme, very important, which has already been there in European countries and Korean countries. Second, moon dust to slow down the global warming. This is from the text and context page of the Hindu. Third, India and Italy to enhance the defense pact. After a long lukewarm of bilateral relationship between India and Italy, finally a revival is taking place with a defense pact. The second last is defense, basically with regards to the EPFO, that is EPFO guideline opens a window for higher pensions. And the last is an editorial, a problem with the data protection bill. Like what are the main problems where it is lacking, and these part is specifically explicitly decided and being elaborately told in the editorial part. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is Center may notify emission trading scheme, something very important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic of General Studies, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So the central government, the union government, is actually working towards the final stages of notifying the ETS. ETS stand for Emissions Trading Scheme. This scheme is already there in European countries and Korean countries, right? Now, this particular scheme will require the polluting industries to achieve certain standard of energy efficiency, where they will be permitted to trade this as well. Further, there are certain conditions that has to be fulfilled. There are some prerequisites that has to be fulfilled before the actual permissions for tradable is given, right? Now, December 2022, the Union government has passed the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill, which was considered and even considered as very important milestone for the government of India. Now, what is emissions trading? Basically, just to give you an idea कि emission trading होती क्या है, emission trading को cap and trade भी कहते हैं, जिसे CAT and even other part is approach to reduce the pollutions that has been successfully to protect human health and environment, right? एक ऐसी approach है जहाँ पे पूरी pollution reductions पे ध्यान दी जाती है और एक successful efforts की तरफ बढ़ाया जाता है, where the good health and environment sustainability is taken care of. Now, emission trading practices have two important components. First is called limit, or by other synonymous, you can call it cap on the pollutions, and other is that tradable allowance, which is there, which is equal to the limit of authorized allowance holder to emit a specific, that is given in terms the weightage that is given, the unit that is used is a ton. So in a tonnage, the tradable part is authorized to a single entity to do the same with the other entity, right? So of the pollutions, and this is how the emission tradable is like sorting and working out for many developed countries although. Now sectors जो कि cover किए जाएंगे इस emissions trading के part में, Government of India में specifically इन बातों को highlight किया. The notification will specify certain sectors that will be covered and targeted, that will be set. So some of the important sectors anticipated will include aluminum, cement, fertilizers that will be given energy efficiency targets, right? Or in companies को they will be able to exceed this target would get the credit. तो जो credits जो basically जो notified targets मिलेंगे अगर उन्हें वो पूरा कर पाते हैं, then they would be provided with credits. And even this credit certificate could act as a bank that they can sell to the other companies if they fail to meet the targets. And the emissions trading scheme is also called as a deployed in European and Korean countries, right? If you're writing an example, you can even highlight about the countries. तो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट सेगमेंट है इंडिया में इस तरह की एफर्ट्स. ऑलरेडी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज कमिटेड with achieving a lot short of targets by 2030 and even net zero emissions by 2070. So this is something aligned to achieve the target, which will have a broader, at global level पे अगर बात करें, it will definitely create an impression that India as a country is making its best possible impetus to achieve the desired results. Now, nodal body की formation की जाएगी as far as the regulations of ETS is concerned. अगर बात करें emissions trading schemes की, उसके लिए nodal body बनाई जा रही है. There is BEE, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. These body are already in existence, but इनको और additional work दिया जाएगा. So the Bureau of Energy Efficiency under the Ministry of Power would be coordinating as a nodal coordinator for this scheme. Very, very important. A direct factual information is relevant from the preliminary examination perspective. Now, since 2015, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency has been running Perform, Achieve and Trade, better known as PAT, right? Under the scheme, 1,078 standard industries हैं spanning over the 13 sector have getting the energy security certificates if they exceed the targets. तो ये सारी जो जिम्मेवारी है जो नोडल बॉडी है BEE, that is Bureau of Energy Efficiency, will be taking care of. So what you can do, you can read out brief about the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. This can be again relevant for the prelims examination. Now, India's first trading program की अगर बात करें, this is again very important of factual information. Gujarat in India has become the world first maker of particulate matter emissions. This is not only at the national level, but also at the global level. After 155 industrial unit of Surat has come together for a live trading under the emission trading scheme. So a very important point, a factual and relevant information. The program is market-based system where the government set a cap on the emissions and allow the industries to buy and sell to stay below the cap level. So there will be certain criteria that has to be met. There's a capping which is involved, and that is that categorically need to be looked upon by the companies. Now, India की अगर commitment की बात करें, so I'm covering this holistically to give you a brief idea of what things are working out for Indian context. Also, the government of India is committed to reduce the emission intensity by GDP or like 45% of it by 2030. And India has committed to install the facilities to generate 500 gigawatt of electricity from the non-fossil fuel sources by 2030. These are the target, and it will cost at least 2.4 trillion according to the estimates that was there by the central electricity authorities. So this target, like 500 gigawatt of target, is again very important, and the timeline is by 2030. Expected expenses is 2.4 trillion. This was anticipated by the Central Electricity Authority. Now, moving to the other news, moon dust to slow down the global warming, something very important for General Studies paper 3 under the subtopic that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation and EIA. So a group of US scientists have proposed that the moon dust has a potential to slow down the climate change and solar radiation on Earth. How it will work, I'll show you an image later in this video so that you can make out how things work, how the moon dust can actually help the part of insolation, the solar radiation that is coming. क्या उसके कुछ negative consequences भी होंगे? We'll make you understand by this video. And this is very important for prelims examination. Whenever this type of event is taking place, अगर Higgs bosons की बात करें, एक कुछ ऐसे important events अगर news में रहते हैं, that become very important for prelims examination. Now, researchers at the US have proposed that the billion tons of dust can be launched from moon at a point. A specific point will be then L1, L2. There are bands which are there. So the Earth's gravitational force के accordingly उसे place की जाएगी ताकि वो radiations को रोक पाए. The dust will be parked there, casting the shadow on the Earth and dimming the light offset the carbon emission. How it will actually work, it will be clear with this particular image. See, this is how it will work. These are the dust, right? These are the moon dust, which will be actually blocking the part of the solar radiations. And this is where it will be blocked. and it will not be entering to the earth surface as it is required, but इसके कुछ और repercussions भी होंगे, because the climatic conditions will be impacted. Whether this will be in right direction, another further research is required, that whether it is feasible for the sustainability of environment or not. Now, solar radiation management की अगर बात करें, while aerosols in the stratosphere, especially अगर radiation scattering ones की बात करें, these are sulfate that have a cooling effect, right? But in many climatic model that has confirmed that dimming of the amount of incoming sunlight with the stratospheric aerosphere have similar outcome, right? तो ये देखना होगा whether it will have a cooling effect or not, or it will have a repercussion to that. So everything need to be looked upon, right? Some studies have also argued that resulting drought won't be harmful, as GDP of most country will be positively affected by solar radiation management. तो इसके economical impact भी हैं. Everything has to be understood in context of economy, in context of environment, in context of sustainability. So sustainability के context में भी सारी चीजों को देखने की जरूरत है. Now, concern about SRM model, the climate model that is woeful, has inadequate and estimated that precipitation's response to the solar radiations at the scale, whether it will impact the precipitation, and even any projected related changes in rainfall as a result of blocking sunlight will be highly uncertain. Therefore, the concluding of SRM, right? So this will have an unintended consequences that will form the drought. This is the most possible negative consequences that we can have. The second other important negative consequences is the crop loss, right? Based on the model that can be that is, even it is not yet predictable that what more repercussion can have. Now, the climate models have confirmed that dimming of the amount of incoming sunlight with the stratospheric aerosol will lead to the lower yield in crop, diseases and starvation. So this is again a bigger issue that need to be think upon with a broader perspective. Now, natural way of social scientists have expressed a grave concern about the SRM science and the governance issue. So there is no unanimity in terms of scientists whether they should be allowed or not. But again, it will involve the part of expert opinion from the scientist and the government decision to go ahead with such kind of initiatives. Now, moving to the other news, that is India and Italy to enhance the defense pact, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic, that is effect of policy and politics of developed and developing countries on India's interest and India's diaspora. Now, India and Italy are expected to enhance the discussions on bilateral defense. अगर बात करें दोनों countries के बीच में काफ़ी ज़्यादा lukewarm response रही है because of the marine issues where the issue was taken to the International Court of Arbitration. So from that time, the lukewarm response was there. But now the Italy Prime Minister is visiting to India, and she will be the chief guest for a Raisina Dialogue Conference, right? So this is a Raisina Dialogue, very important, which take place and organized by the Observer Research Foundation, right? The Observer Research Foundation, जैसे ORF के नाम से भी जाना जाता है, Observer Research Foundation is a think tank which is aided by the Ministry of External Affairs. तो Ministry of External Affairs की तरफ से aid मिलती है, और Raisina Dialogue is an important platform at global level where important countries like US, Germany, Japan are other countries taking part. So she will be the chief guest for the Raisina Dialogue Conference 2023, right? And recently the Defense Minister has held the talk with Italy Secretary of State in the Bangalore, where the Aero India show was organized, and that sideline has also called for the involvement between India and Italy. So those of you who have PSIR as an optional subject, you can expect a question from the topic of India and Italy Defense Cooperation or revamping the part of India and Italy bilateral relationship. Now, Indo-Pacific strategies की अगर बात करें, the Italy Prime Minister will be the third Italian Prime Minister to visit India in the past decade, and both countries will prioritize their efforts towards Indo-Pacific strategy and defense agreement. बात करें अगर Quad की, so in terms of Quad, the member countries like India, Japan and Italy have jointly launched a trilateral work towards the secure stability and prosperity of Indo-Pacific region. India and Italy has also engaged the multiflora in the Indian Ocean region and Indo-Pacific. So again, very important, where India has been pitching for the security and sovereignty for Indo-Pacific, which is considered to be a dominance of country like China. Now, in terms of defense cooperation between India and Italy, there's a controversy which is also surrounding with regards to Augusta Westland VVIP helicopter chopper deal, and because of which our defense relations with Italy was not that great. But अगर बात करें shipping building company, that is Fincantieri, which is of Italy, has provided a technology upgrade part of the capabilities enhancement, और इंडिया के जो फर्स्ट इंडिजिनस एयरक्राफ्ट है NS विक्रांत, उसकी टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर एंड अपग्रेडेशन पार्ट is taken care by this company. So again, a coordination in this effort and making a bilateral relationship with Italy will be in a longer run sustainable in nature. Now, EPFO guideline open a window for higher pension, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic of General Studies, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementations. So recently, the Employment Provident Fund organization have introduced a new guideline under which the subscriber and the employer can jointly apply for higher pension under the EPS. So EPS is a very important scheme by EPFO, and EPFO is world's largest social security organization, right? Very important. So EPFO subscriber can opt for a higher pension now and can ask for 8.33 deductions from the total PF contributions. Now, a deadline to apply for higher pension under the EPS was for March 2020. This was mandated by Honorable Supreme Court judgment, where it has called for a higher pension under the EPS scheme. So after the Supreme Court has intervened, finally the government via EPFO has come up with a decision. क्या क्या changes की गई हैं वो समझते हैं. Now, as per the new rule, the EPFO subscriber are allowed to go beyond the pensionable salary, which was capped at 15,000 rupees. Now, the employer, on the other hand, can deduct a sum which is equivalent to 8.33% of the actual basic salary towards the pension under the EPS, right? Now, the pensionable salary capped was increased at 6,500 per month, which is to increase by 15,000 per month under the EPS amendment in August 2014. The same amendment allowed the members and the employer to jointly contribute to 8.33% of their actual salary towards the NPS if exceeding the cap. तो ये कुछ नई रूल्स लाई गई हैं, 6,000 से बढ़ा करके 15,000 की गई है, एंड द डिडक्शन अमाउंट हैज इंक्रीज टू 8.33%. नाउ आई विल गिव यू अ बाइफर्केशन जिससे आपको क्लियर हो जाएगा कि कितनी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस जो एम्प्लॉयज को करनी होती है और कितने एम्प्लॉयर्स करते हैं. नाउ अगर बात करें ईपीएस स्कीम की, विच इज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटेड बाय द ईपीएफओ, दैट इज एम्प्लॉयमेंट प्रोविडेंट फंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, इट एम्स टू प्रोवाइड with a pension with the age of 58, and both employees and employer contribute 12% of their basic salary and dearness allowances, right? और इस 12% के बाद जो basic contribution है EPF में, right, in terms of 12% contribution that is made by employer, that is split between two ways. First way is EPS contribution, EPS में 8.33%, और दूसरी है EPF, that is employment provident fund में 3.67 और एम्प्लॉयमेंट पेंशन स्कीम्स में 8.33%. इसके अलावा जो गवर्नमेंट की कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो 1.16% की होती है. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट टू बी नोटेड दैट गवर्नमेंट आल्सो कंट्रीब्यूट. एंड द अदर इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट फ्रॉम एग्जामिनेशन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू इज दैट द एम्प्लॉयज आर नॉट एलिजिबल टू कंट्रीब्यूट अंडर द स्कीम. Which particular scheme? Under the EPS, because there is already a split which is taking in terms of the percentage. So now further he cannot contribute in this. So this is all about the EPS scheme. Now the problem with the data protection bill, something important for general studies paper 2 under the subtopic, that is important aspect of governance, transparency, accountability and e-governance. So what are the issues that is important under this editorial? First, talking about the theme. The theme is about the data protection bill. First, we'll be looking into background. The background will be followed by the fault in the bill. और कुछ important faults की अगर बात करें, just to give you a brief, diluting the RTI Act एक बहुत important fault मानी गई है. एम्पावरिंग द एग्जीक्यूटिव, उसके बाद जो गवर्नमेंट की ओवरऑल कंट्रोल होगी वो, और मेथडोलॉजी ऑफ कंप्लेन रजिस्ट्रेशन जहाँ पे इंटरनेट और जो टेक्निकल बॉटल नेक्स है उस पर ध्यान दी गई है, और कंक्लूजन पार्ट पे ध्यान देंगे. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एडिटोरियल दैट विल गिव यू एन इनसाइट अबाउट द बॉटल नेक्स दैट इज देयर इन द डेटा प्रोटेक्शन बिल. तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी ने ड्राफ्ट किया था डिजिटल डेटा पर्सनल प्रोटेक्शन बिल, एंड द ड्राफ्ट सीक्स सेट आउट द राइट एंड ड्यूटीज ऑफ सिटीजन, जहाँ पे जो सिटीजन हैं उनके पास ऑब्लिगेशंस, इवन द पार्ट विद द obligations of data fiduciary and the use collected with the data lawfully should be there. So every individual has a right to privacy, right? In that context, the digital personal data protection bill called for a more revamped version. Now कुछ faults जो focus की गई है इस editorial में, and we'll be specifying our focus on faults only. तो जो data protection की law है उसमें ये बताया गया that it must safeguard and balance the individual right. So right to equality which is there under article 14 of the Indian Constitution that call for equality, right? So article 14 में ये सारी चीजें specify की गई है that equality should be there. Now this is a fundamental right of the Constitution. Unfortunately, the bill fails to do so. This is what the writer are conveying in this editorial. Now at least there are 4 reasons that must be looked into the part where this bill is lacking. So I'll be making you understand the all 4 important part, right, that is relevant in this context. The first is diluting the RTI, जहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट ने जो RTI की प्रोविजंस हैं उससे डाइल्यूट किए, ये सबसे बड़ी बॉटलनेक है. The first dilutions of the part of the RTI which has empowered the citizen to access the right to information and hold government accountable. तो अगर RTI नहीं होगी तो सिटीजन के पास नॉलेज और एक्सेस काफ़ी कम हो जाएगी. The absence of public accessibility information, it is impossible that intended beneficiary have rightful entitlement of the food grains also, right? तो बहुत सारे ऐसे problems हैं जहाँ पे आप RTI के थ्रू भी information ले सकते हैं, but actual curbing this and the part of diluting this RTI provisions from the data protection bill has a caution. Now, this is equally true that the delivery of other social security programs such as old age pension scheme and scholarship, the RTI Act include the provisions of protections and privacy through section 81G, right? So these are the part where it has been actually diluted by the government, and the data protection bill need to be suitably amended and harmonized with the provision and objective of the RTI. तो RTI जो एक ऐसी important एज अ टूल है एक नॉर्मल सिटीजन के लिए जहाँ पे वो इन्फॉर्मेशन ले सकते हैं, उसे डाइल्यूट करना बहुत ज़्यादा ही बेसिकली इट्स अ मैटर ऑफ कंसर्न. ना सेकेंड इज एम्पावरिंग द एग्जीक्यूटिव, बहुत ज़्यादा पावर दी गई है एग्जीक्यूटिव को, ये सेकेंड इंपॉर्टेंट कंसर्न है, जहाँ पे ड्राफ्ट रूल में बताया गया है कि डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर होगी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास और वो राइट टू प्राइवेसी को भी बहुत हद तक कंट्रोल कर पाएंगे. फॉर इंस्टेंसेस, under Article 18, it empowers the central government to exempt any government or any private sectors from the provisions of merely issuing a notification, right? So the discretion has been given mostly to the government and they can regulate the further part of it. The third important bottlenecks is regarding the data repository. अगर इसमें बात करें तो bill does not ensure the autonomy with the data protection board, और ये जो सारी पावर्स होगी इन्फोर्सिबिलिटी की वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के डायरेक्टिव से आएंगे. तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट डिसाइड करेंगी कि बोर्ड ऑफ कंपोजिशंस क्या होंगी, एंड इवन द सिलेक्शंस ऑफ दिस एंड द रिमूवल ऑफ दिस विल बी टेकन केयर बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. तो जब सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट सारी चीज़ों को कंट्रोल करेगी तो डेटा प्रोटेक्शन बोर्ड की जो ऑटोनॉमी है, जो फंक्शनिंग है, वो भी इम्पैक्ट होगी. उससे पावर सिर्फ सिविल कोड का दिया गया है, एंड इवन द पावर ऑफ सिविल कोड एम्पावर देम टू इम्पोज a fine of 500 crore rupees, up to 500 crore rupees will be there. So ये एक apprehension है कि गवर्नमेंट मिसयूज कर सकती है इस पावर का और अपने अपोजिशंस के प्रति भी फाइन बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पोज कर सकती है, राइट? तो दिस इज द गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल विच इज़ मोस्टली सेंट्रलाइज्ड, और ये पावर ज़रूरत है कि डेटा प्रोटेक्शन बोर्ड के पास जाए जो कि एज ऑटोनोमस या फिर स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी फंक्शंस करे. मेथडोलॉजी ऑफ कंप्लेंट रजिस्ट्रेशंस की अगर बात करें, यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ी जो प्रॉब्लम है दैट इज विद रिगार्ड्स टू द पार्ट ऑफ डिजिटल एंड ऑनलाइन फाइलिंग ऑफ अ कंप्लेंट. सो एनी इंडिविजुअल हु वांट टू लॉज अ कंप्लेंट नीड टू गो टू द पोर्टल एंड लॉज इट. तो अगर नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे की डेटा देखें, ओनली 33% ऑफ द वुमेन इन इंडिया हैव एवर यूज्ड इंटरनेट. तो एक इंडिया में जहाँ पे 60% ऑफ आवर पॉपुलेशन रिसाइड इन रूरल इंडिया, उन लोगों के लिए भी काफ़ी प्रॉब्लम होगी जहाँ पे वो अपने ग्रीवांसेस को रीच आउट नहीं कर पाएंगे. द डेटा प्रोटेक्शन बिल effectively fails million of people who have not meaningful access to internet. Even the internet penetration to the rural area is not that much. तो ये सारी challenges हैं और ये सारी bottlenecks हैं. If you are writing specifically in examination, अगर आप negative part पे या फिर you are critically analyzing, these are the important points that you must incorporate. And if you want to conclude this, there's some conclusion part also in this part. So आप conclude कर सकते हैं that need to have a strike a necessary balance between the right to privacy of data principle and reasonable exceptions, and the bill must put through the process of rigorous pre-legislative consultation और redrafting करने की जरूरत है before it reach out to the parliament, right? So if amendment is required, it has to be there. The consultation with all equal stakeholders should be made, and it should be unanimous where each section of the society is concerning the fact that yes, this bill is something which is promoting more transparency compared to the bill or compared to the provision which does not exist earlier. So this is how the narrative should be changed, and a bill must be rigorous. A pre-legislative consultation is a must in this context. Now, moving to the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is A. For second question, the correct option is B. Today's MCQ for practice, with reference to Animal Board of India, consider the following statements. The statutory advisory body under the Union Ministry of Environment, and it was established in 2010. So you have to check for the correct option. Second is Mission Shakti. Consider the following statement. Is the initiative of Union Ministry of Home Affairs. It aims to strengthen the intervention for safety, security, empowerment of women in a mission mode through institutional coverage and mechanism for greater efficiency, effectiveness, and financial precedence. So आप check करें इसमें कौन से statement correct है. If you have read Mission Shakti, it is very important for you that you will be easily able to answer it. So do check it out. Government के कुछ ऐसे important schemes जो खास करके women empowerment में deal करती हैं, that question is going to be very important. So this was all about for daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.